Stephen, wonderful to see you on Saturday morning and excited to get to spend some time with you. It's been a while since we've been together.
It sure has, Tony. It's great to see you as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think the last time was it really Colorado Springs? Was that the last time?
No, it was Pittsburgh, I think, was the last one.
Pittsburgh. Okay, great,
Yeah.
great,
So the
good.
chapter officer meeting in Pittsburgh. Yeah, I got some pictures of us on the boat going down the river there.
That's right. That's right. Some incriminating evidence. Okay, well, we won't, divulge that just yet. Maybe later as we get going. Well, I'm excited to talk with you today because you've got some great stories to share, information to share. Learning really is what this is all about, and I think some of the stories that you've shared with me, have helped me, and so I really think this is going to help our Tech Talk Tony audience. And so glad to have you here. Do you want to introduce yourself, who you are, and what you're about?
Yeah, my name is Stephen Sellaro. Been in IT for a few decades. Live in the Kansas City metropolitan area, but I've done IT work in Manchester, Connecticut, in Dallas, Texas, Northwest Arkansas, and I'm now back in the Kansas City area. So
Excellent.
been doing it for several years.
All right, well-rounded. I love that. I love that. I know we've had some good conversations, and today we're going to have just another one of those good conversations. And really, I would love, for the audience to hear about your background. Can you share about your background in IT? And even there's something really significant about your story too, which is to share about the Civilian Service Commendation Medal. I mean, these things are such great stories, and you experienced it, and I would really like the audience to hear about it.
So yeah, I'm going to date myself a little bit, but yeah, I've had a long IT career. Um, I got my start in retail, working for a retail giant, and that's when I moved to Manchester, Connecticut, and went from driving a forklift to working in a computer room. So that's how I got my start in IT. Started on the mainframe, working with the mainframe computers, and was running batch processing. Um, Worked in the print room, was a computer operator, worked on green screens. So this is way before all the technology that we have around us today. So I've seen the growth of computers. One of the things that it's just amazing that it wasn't that long ago, but it seems like a long time ago. We sent a file from Reno, Nevada, all the way to Manchester. It took
Right.
20 minutes to come in, and then we went and printed a report, and we printed it on four-part paper. And in the morning meeting, we passed it around like somebody does with the latest and greatest technology today. And you said, "Can you believe this report came all the way from Reno all the way here to Manchester, Connecticut?" And you
Wonderful.
would think that's like I'm talking like I'm a dinosaur there, but it really was not that long ago. It was in the 80s.
Right.
So
Right.
the technology's just really come a long way since the 80s.
It has. It has. And even in the 90s, I now just, 10 years after that, we used to send hard drives back and forth with data, right? This was
Oh,
before, you could pass a lot of data through the internet. And so I completely understand that.
yeah, we had to do some printouts, and our computer system was down and the network was down, so they had to ship some tapes from Atlanta up to Manchester, Connecticut, and I had to go to the airport to go pick those up.
Wow.
And just so that we could keep the retail business operating the next day. It's
Wow.
because we couldn't just transmit that data, and that data would fit on a thumb drive today. So it's just amazing how far technology has come.
That's great. That's great. Well, excellent. That sounds like a deep background in IT.
It does.
That's
And so one of the things that to help me become successful throughout the years,
yeah.
whenever you're working for a large corporation, typically they're running on a budget. And,
Right, right.
and so the latest software and hardware technology they're not all up to date. And because, one, it has to do proof of concept to make sure that you're going to be able to use that latest software or hardware.
Right,
So
right,
at home, I would always have the latest version or operating system, or if it's Microsoft Office, I've always got the latest and greatest in the PCs as well. So
right,
that when it finally does roll into the corporate environment, I've already had some personal experience with that software or that hardware before we roll that out. So you can't do that with all the software that's out there, but a lot of this stuff, this basic stuff that we use day to day, that you can use at home and in the office, I always try to make sure I'm just that one step ahead. And
right,
then whenever we do adopt that new process or that new software or hardware, that I'm ready for that when it comes in, and I'm always a step ahead. So
right,
that's the one thing is that you got to do in this technology. I remember we had some interns that actually came to a transportation company I worked with, and they visited with me in my office, and they were getting ready to graduate college. And I says, "Do you know that you've been through high school and you've been through college and you're graduating, and you're thinking learning is over? Learning has just begun."
right, right,
It's just begun, and it's now you're going to have to apply those things that you learn, and you're going to have to come into the corporate environment and apply that. Their eyes got so wide open because they thought they were done with school,
that's
and
right.
they didn't realize it's just begun when
Yeah,
they start in the workforce.
that's right. Still today, by the way, now the newest thing is cybersecurity. I mean, it just keeps
Yes.
evolving and evolving.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Cybersecurity. Whenever I worked for the Marine Corps, that was one of the big things with the Marine Corps is we did support for the Marines there at the government, but really they called us war fighters there at the Marine Corps, and
Right.
because of the security. It's not like somebody's not going to be able to get to print something or be able to attend to a meeting. Somebody's life could be at risk at some of the things that you're
Absolutely.
doing with that technology in the Marine Corps. So that's why they called us war fighters. And it was, cyber. It was in a high side and protected environment. You couldn't bring your cell phones into work, which I loved,
Right.
because you had to put them in lockers, and there was no Fitbit on your wrist or nothing
Wow.
of that nature. Nothing, no Wi-Fi.
Right.
Everything had to be hardwired and everything else. So it was the cyber protection, and working in that type of environment was really a challenge
Right.
when I worked for the Marine Corps.
Right. So let's
Uh,
talk about that. You worked for the Marine Corps. Hoorah, by the way, as a Marine that can appreciate somebody helping out the Marines. Give us some information about that.
So that was really a challenge because I'd worked in retail and then I'd worked in transportation, and then I really just took my resume and I just lobbed over the fence. I go, they're not going to hire me. I didn't even think I'd get that job. And the reason I moved back to Kansas City, and my dad was health was not doing well, and this actual position was like 7 minutes from his house.
Oh, okay.
So it was
Okay.
ideal. I could go stop by his house before I started work. I could stop at lunch. I could go after work and visit with him. So it was really an ideal position. Sometimes it's not all about the money. Sometimes it's about family and everything. And
Right.
so my dad was a former Marine, just like you. I never served in the Marine Corps, but that doesn't mean that I wasn't a brother, as I was told, because
That's right.
everybody in the Marine Corps, they're all brothers. I learned that.
That's right. That's right.
It doesn't mean what it means in the private sector. It means, yeah, you're really doing well there. And so that was just a whole new education. The first time we went to lunch, we're sitting at lunch, and I talked about this earlier. Is everybody's got their phones or whatever. And we all went to lunch that day. And I looked around the table, and there's like 10 of us at lunch, and not one person was looking at their phone. And I go, did I go back in time? What is going on here?
That's
Not a
right.
single person was looking at their phone. Is because at work you couldn't bring your phone in there and you had to put it in a locker. And it really just changed the human habit of actually looking at that personal device and living off of that thing. That thing
Right.
goes off all the time, and people are it's just like the bell going off. You got to go look and see what that message is, whatever. And it's so important to us. That was really a wake up. Um, and then working there. So one of the big projects that we had going there that we're standing up an enterprise service desk to support the Marines worldwide.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So every morning there was a morning brief that we had with Quantico. So I had to get in work early because I'm in Central Time. Quantico's on Eastern Time, and so you'd have to get in there early to do this brief. And so the brief would be with Japan, uh, uh, South Korea, Europe and Africa, and then all over the United States, Hawaii. Uh,
Right.
we always joked about Hawaii because they were pretty laid back there. So it seems like they had to go to the beach at 3 o'clock every day. So
Yeah.
uh,
Wise decision.
I think if I lived in Hawaii, I'd probably want to do that too.
That's right.
Yeah. So you do those briefs all over. And so a lot of that was all cyber stuff that you were looking at. And it was just because I ended up with a top secret clearance.
Right.
And if you talk to some of the people I went to high school, they were like, how in the heck did you get the top secret clearance? But
That's right. I want to talk to them. I want to talk to them.
yeah. It was a 6 month investigation to get that and everything. And my dad, being a former Marine, he was just thrilled. His chest was pumping, knowing that actually there. And I think the first time I saw you was in Colorado Springs, and I'd actually had the uh, Marine Corps Cyber Operations Group is what I worked for as a McCog. I had that insignia on my
The
on my
logo.
shirt and everything. And it's like I had to make sure that it's like I didn't want to steal valor or whatever. I was like, I never was in the Marines like you. I had to even go over to you and tell you that and tell you what I did for a living. So
That's right.
but they called us warfighters, and that was really exciting. So we stood up the enterprise service desk, and
Okay.
we had like over 100,000 Marines that we supported worldwide.
Wow. Wow. That's a good size.
Yeah, so we were supporting all over the United States and all over the world. And there was just a few government employees, and I was like one of four government employees, and then all the rest of them were contractors working for the service desk. Uh,
Right.
so one of the biggest projects that we had there is talking about AI.
Right.
So it wasn't a true AI at the time. It was way before ChatGPT and way before Copilot. You know, it's not the AI that we think of today.
Today.
But
Right.
back then, I don't know, artificial intelligence, and so we work with Microsoft. So we partnered with them to set up really a self-service, and so we had to come up with a name, and so I submitted a bunch of names as like Ask Gunny. Uh,
That's awesome.
I knew you would appreciate that.
I love that.
Appreciate that one. And then Ask Chesty. Uh, do you know who
Excellent.
Chesty is? A lot of
Chesty
people,
puller. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
Chesty Puller. But okay, I thought that was a risque name to actually, you don't want to be like Googling Chesty, it's like the first thing. And so you have to really make sure if you Google it, you Google Chesty Puller. And he's
Right.
like one of them. He was like a badass Marine.
Oh, he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they,
And then whenever I visited, we had remote support, service desk support in New Orleans. So when I went to Res down there in New Orleans, I'm like, they're walking this bulldog down the hallway, and he's got a Marine Corps outfit on. And I'm going, what the heck is that? I didn't know the Marine Corps mascot was a bulldog. So,
right.
not serving in the Marines or whatever.
Right.
And and then everybody talking to me, or they see my badge or whatever. Yes, sir. How you doing? Good morning, sir. Yeah, you started off everything with good morning. Good morning,
Yep.
and everything is just so respectful. And I was like, I just felt really strange because you'd have everybody, all these Marines actually looking at me. And actually, as a civilian, I carried the rank of lieutenant colonel, It was the
Excellent.
rank was the rank that I carried. So
Excellent.
as long as it was IT related, they had to follow my instructions. And
Right.
but if bullets were flying, then where do you want me? Private is the next thing, so following their instructions.
That's right.